to the RoughTackle podcast, where we discuss everything Ghana Premier League, the only podcast that gives you an insight into what is happening in the Ghana Premier League. And we focus mainly on the games that have been played in weeks by, and also do a preview for the upcoming games. Unfortunately, this week we will not be doing any preview because it is FA Cup week. And next week we'll see a big one at the Babayara Sports Stadium. Heartfolk will come up against Asante Kotoko. My name is Mutala Yakubu, here with Augustine and Bashiru, and they would be doing a lot on the show because week 21 actually presented us with some interesting results that some of us didn't want to believe, but it's the reality. Charlie, good afternoon. Welcome to the show, guys.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Let me start with you, Bashiru. On Friday, I was at the Dr. Kwame Chase Sports Complex for that Mediema Nations game. Prior to the game, Nations FC boss, Frimpong Manso, told me that they had no option than to win this game at all costs. Mediema also said they needed to win to consolidate their position on top of the table. Now, when the game started and Mediema opened the scoring, I thought the floodgates had opened for them. Then Frimpong Manso organized the boys, had a little discussion with them. I saw Razak Simpson telling them to calm down. From then on, it was Nations throughout. That is the best bit of football I've seen Nations play this season in the Ghana Premier League.
Yeah, I mean, indeed, they had no choice than to win the game because it was a very competitive game. And they had to, by all means, win, like the coach puts it. It couldn't come easier as facing the team that was topping the table of the Ghana Premier League. So I suspected it was going to be a very difficult game for Nations FC, but there was 3 points at stake. And the team that showed a lot of hunger, the team that showed a lot of desire, were the team that won all the maximum points. Mediema could feel very bad about it, but subsequent results could actually make them feel very good because it's not a bad ground to lose at, because Nations FC have always proven to be a very good side at home, and it was always going to be very difficult. And we predicted that it was a game that could test Mediema's title credentials. Unfortunately, they couldn't live up to that expectation. But like I said, I mean, it was a very good result subsequently. If you look at the teams that were chasing them very closely for the title, the likes of Kumasi Asante Kotoko had bad results. The likes of Accra Hatsofo couldn't capitalize on the fact that Mediema had dropped points. So for Nations FC, it was a very good result for them. Like you said, I mean, this was the best bit of football they played all season. They surrendered a goal very early on in the game, but they showed a great fighting spirit. They showed the desire and hunger that you would expect of a team that was playing at home. And the performance also reflected the sort of hunger we expected from them.
But do you think that defeat would have any effect on Mediema, considering that they went 17 games without a defeat and just a slip in there? Do you think they can recover in time, knowing Bashir for Ibrahim Tanko and also the kind of materials he has?
Yeah, I would have said that if Kumasi Asante Kotoko and Accra Hatsofo had capitalized on that result on Friday.
Okay.
But unfortunately, I mean, they failed to capitalize on that dropped points from Mediema, because they couldn't take advantage of the fact that Mediema had dropped points. Then you would have seen whether they could respond to that pressure of reducing the deficits at the top of the table. But, I mean, it looks very good for them. I mean, they have a 7 points lead at the top of the table. They need to respond. They are fortunate enough. They will be playing their next home game, their next game at home. So,
but it's not an easy one. They will be playing Adriana. It's not an easy game. But this week they'll be playing the FA Cup. Yeah. I think they have Summertex to play.
Yes. So, I mean, I think in as much as it's going to be a very difficult game, I believe in Mediema when they are playing at home, the Takwa TNT Stadium has proven to be a very good turf for them, and they understand and appreciate the turf very well. So, yeah, I mean, it's always going to be very difficult for any visiting side. So I think, yeah, they have a very good game to respond, and it doesn't come any bigger than playing against a team that is deemed closest rival to you as far as winning the Premier League.
Okay, so that is for Adriana. Nations FC, Razak Simpson scoring 2 goals. Is he sending a signal out to Otuado? But we are hearing that he might be on his way out of the club because a Finnish club is actually in talks with Nations for his signature. But how much of a big blow would that be to Nations, a club that has lost Faisal Chawati? But we are hearing Emmanuel Ano is coming back to the club.
He's coming back.
But Razak Simpson, his importance to nations.
Yeah, for the signal to other day, calm down.
Why make we calm down?
So, okay. The reason why I'm telling us to calm down, if you look at Razak Simpson last season as compared to this season, I think he has dipped on.
But the whole team know they play well.
Yeah, so it's indirectly affects him.
It's like the talk say Baba Rahman Shah, go Chelsea. Chelsea were not playing well.
But Baba Rahman even playing at Chelsea.
He plays some 3 games where he make mistakes. But the whole nation team are not they play well.
So the whole nation team are not playing well. But then there's someone, maybe if about a month back, you could suggest or recommend him for the Black Stars, like Emmanuel, because he was playing very well.
Because now we don't get strikers.
Massa.
So that area, there was a big hole. There was a big hole.
Playing well, or yes, he was playing very well.
So you think Razak Simpson has not been playing well?
Okay. If you look at the results we knew last season and this season, come on, from the preseason, from the inside shake-up, he has been quite some way till the season started. But then I just only hope that this could be a morale booster or something just for him. But then if you look at the nations team, I believe they have resetted their ambitions in the league from winning to making money. And I believe if you're a team who doesn't have much resources or much quality like the Kotoko, like the Hearts, the Media Mediana, and that's something you should do. Because look at Nations FC, they've contended for the title for the last 2 seasons and they've failed to win both seasons. And this season, they come to the season and they realize they just pick their best player or a good player and then sell. It was Samuel Seko for Fish at Charlton left. They then signed this Oho United striker and then they had to loan him again. And they've sold quite a couple of players as well. I think for Pama do have another option if Razak Simpson is to leave the team. But of course, Razak Simpson is a key member of the team. He's an integral member, a captain of the team. You don't just need him for playing on the pitch, just as you said. In the game against Medema, I think the post-game, he said when they considered the first goal, he called the boys, calm them down, that this is a game you need to win. And so it's not just about defending, but then about the kind of charisma or the kind of character he is in the team. I think that's what they are going to miss more, but not maybe the kind of quality he gives on the pitch. Of course, every good coach is supposed to try to find a solution when a player is not there. And I believe Frimpong Manzo could do such a thing. For the game against Mediam, I just knew the man were not going to win. Because one thing Nations FC is doing this season that they didn't do in the previous season was that this season they are playing their home games very well and making sure they do not drop points at home. The previous season, you could talk about them being very good on the road. But in this season, before the game against Mediam, they have played 10 times at home. They've won 6 of them, drawn 4, and almost every team who is contending for the title, when they go to Dr. Kwame Chase Sports competition, their best is always a draw. It's Kotoko who played goalless draw. They beat Adriana, they beat Gold Stars, then it was Medium. I knew Mediam's best was going to be a draw, but it was a spirited comeback from the guys from Nations FC. And I think we need to have some few mentions to some of their players. Ivan Safo from Park Academy, most people didn't know him, but then Friday was just an enlightenment on
Safo. When he bought ball rough.
He
together with the Inzole guy, Mayford, and the Brandon boy who was playing from the right, Charlie. But the Safo boy, I heard they played against Kotoko Park Academy last season in the FA Cup, and the boy was You're super. So I think the kind of recruitment they've been doing is what's helping them, because now what they do is that they go into the lower tier leagues and then get the players. They've been doing that very well, and I believe that Ivan Safo is one guy that we should just keep an eye on. He's very good, and I believe he could. I just hope that he could just reach and where he's supposed to reach. Of course. And that is for Nations FC, who actually came up against Mediama. They won by 2-1. Then let's go to Kotoko. You were at Pandu, right?
Yeah, I was at Pandu.
You saw the game. Was it a fair result?
Yeah, it was.
Lions beating Kotoko by 3-1.
It was.
What happened to Kotoko? Boy, Amania, what happened on the day?
So the 3 goals they conceded, I would attribute just one thing: loose marking. Because they considered 2 goals from corner kick, right? And the other one was from when Kamara was trying to clear the ball. He was being pressed because he was in a rush, and then it then got in the hands of Heart of Lions. And there was another loose marking on the left side of Koto's defense, and they considered from it, right? So I think that's what really worried them. But if you look at the 2 corner goals they considered, I think the first goal, Kokovo had about 8 men in the box, in the penalty box. Heart of Lions had 6. and numerically, Kotoko did have the advantage. But then one way or the other, they still had to consider that goal. And I believe if there was something like loose marking, they wouldn't have considered that goal. It's repeated in the second goal, and even that Heart of Lions had one man less than what they had in the.
You know what's that? I want to ask you. Since you were there, I want to ask you: is it the Heart of Lions were too brilliant on the day, or Asante Kotoko were just poor?
Asante Kotoko,
Because Lions in their last 10, 11 games have not played well. Even the one they won against 11 Wonders, it wasn't anything to write home about. So is it that Kotoko were too poor on the day, or Lions were too good?
So Asante Kotoko were too poor on the day. Nothing worked for them. From Coach Abdul Karim to from Ahmed Kamara.
So you want to tell me on that day,
Yeah.
if Lions were playing against a Heart of Folk, a Mediama, it wouldn't have resulted in a 3-1 win.
If Lions,
Judging from how they played.
Yeah, because a team like Heart of would, if not score, would even defend very well.
Okay.
And will not concede from the kind of goals Kotoko did concede.
Kotoko didn't defend well.
Yes.
Even with Samba O'Neil.
So that's why I said it was from loose marking. If you realize something about Kotoko, almost every game that becomes very difficult. Samba is always the man who tries to get to every defensive ball. Hence, he's always drifted out of position. And then it's left with Henry Ansu. Come on, Henry Ansu has been quite good this season, but then Henry Ansu is not that guy that you could trust when it comes to defensive ability. I think the Albert Tamwa they brought to total rescue them was just poor on the day. He was so poor on the day. His touches were bad, his shots were bad, everything is just didn't. And after the game, I spoke to Coach Karim, and he said one thing. I'm quoting him. He said, "Charlie, Eche Doglin on number 6 on the whole Ghana."
But
So what he said was that
Openo.
calm down. What is that? He said at one time he wanted to double up on him with Prince Bodin and Ibejo. But then I think we saw even Ishmaelado playing advanced, not his typical number 8, but then playing somewhere 10. But Eche Doglin single-handedly control these two guys, and I believe that it was just, I don't know what Bashir Ford told these guys, because Bashir Ford against Koko is like World Cup final for him. So I believe he went into the game very different, and that's why I just saw them too good. They've not been very, very good in the last about 10 or 11 games, but that game was just a final for them, and they did very well. And that performance, that was my first time of traveling to Pando. That performance they gave was just.
They don't give you the banku some chop.
No, me. I'll go catch them late.
Then they know initiate yet.
I'll go catch them late. So
Pando is my second home. I enjoy the place.
And where's your favorite?
Oh no, my first home is.
What about BBN?
Oh, BBN is fun.
Yeah, BBN is fun. It's true.
BBN is fun. But Bashiru, I mean, Asante Kotoko having one of the heaviest defeats during the weekend, and it was supposed to be an opportunity for them to close the gap on Midiama. Zito admitted that it was a missed opportunity. But those who watched the game and the highlights I have seen, it looks like Kotoko did not turn up. One thing that has hurt them this season has been their away games. They've won just 2 against 11 Wonders and against Artufu.
Yeah, I think consistency has been the bane for They are finding it very difficult to go on a run of results. I mean, if you observed Kumasi Asante Kotoko, I mean, they win one game, the next game they struggle to win and all of that.
Inconsistency plenty.
Yeah, so it makes it very difficult for them. But if you've watched Kumasi Asante Kotoko and Hearts of Lions, you know that Hearts of Lions kind of raise their game anytime they face Kumasi Asante Kotoko.
Since 2015. You don't say Kotoko no beat them.
Yeah. Them always prove a very difficult side for Kotoko to beat. So I wasn't really surprised about the results. And to reiterate the point that my colleague was making about the fact that Kotoko were very poor, they tend to lose concentration in very big games like these. And unfortunately for them, they met a very ruthless Hearts of Lions side, and they took full advantage of the fact that Kotoko were very poor on the day. They scored 3 goals, and Kotoko could only manage 1, which tells you the kind of competitiveness in the Ghana Premier League. And for Hearts of Lions, who have been in a very patchy form, I think it was a very good game for them to show their mettle as far as the Ghana Premier League is concerned. And the fact that they did it against Kumasi Asante Kotoko is a signal to the rest of the teams that they are still in there for a shout, as in finishing in the top 4, probably winning the league, because of how the points gap is very close. I mean, you can win one game and you find yourself just about 6 or 9 points apart the top of the table. So I think it was a very good game for Hearts of Lions. They've responded very well. Now, the question is whether or not they can build on these results like they did when the season started. So I'm very curious about how they can build on.
But does this really affect the future of Karim Zito? Because I mean, there was a lot of pressure on him prior to their game against Gold Stars. We had reports that he's been given a 3-game ultimatum, and he drew against Gold Stars. Then I think he won the second game.
Yeah,
Basake Holy Stars. Then he's lost this one. Next week he's playing Hearts of Oak. He has an FA Cup to play against Aduana. Does that make that FA Cup game like a must win? Because after that you are playing your bitterest rivals.
Yeah, I mean it's always like that when you are coaching teams like Kumasi. There is always pressure, especially when you don't win games. So it's quite understandable. I think he's the first person that will tell you that. I mean, he's always been under pressure, regardless of what the results are. For Kumasi Asante Kotoko, you always have to win. I made a point last week when I was here that, I mean, the clubs need to understand the states in which they are now. And I don't understand why you have one of the brightest gaffer as far as Ghana Premier League is concerned. Coach Karim Zito, he did a brilliant job with
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can't understand why he's under pressure.
Would you allow him to finish the season if you were in charge of the interim management committee at Kotoko?
Yeah, of course.
Irrespective of what happened, would you allow him to finish the season?
Yeah,
or you put the blacks with about 14 games to go? Tell him I'm coach for or and we see what happens at the end.
Yeah, I'm minded by the fact that, I mean, I appreciate the state of Kumasi Asante. This is a club that lost one of their brilliant players, and the controversy surrounding the loss of I'm referring to Amwa, and then he comes back again. So it's kind of very difficult for a coach to walk in there and do the things he wants to do. I mean, they first need to understand that they need to run their clubs better. Once you run the club better, you create the environment that makes it possible for coaches to thrive. At this point, I mean, I don't think it's a prudence for anyone to say the coach is the reason why Kumasi are going through this kind of results. I mean, we can be guided by past performances of Kumasi or not just this season. Are we going to continue with firing coaches, or we are going to just give coaches some time to build a team? And it's very important we keep our best players as well. I mean, Kotoko have been a victim of losing a lot of players when they seem to have found a mojo in terms of consistency and all of that. So the most important thing is for the club to be able to keep their best players. Then you put it to the coach that now we've done what you want. So give us what we want as well. Once you're not able to do that, I don't think it is prudent for anyone to put the blame solely on the coach. But I'm not in that position.
If I am part of
if you are napping the head of the interim management committee.
No, because the
you
target,
have 14 games to end this season. You are still in the MTNF.
So the target for Kotoko ahead of this season, win the league.
Yes.
Was to win the league. So if you are 14 games, we're looking at how things are going. You are 7 points away from the top. Then I don't think 8. Then I don't think Zito has to be there, because he made a point that he needs to be given time to build it. But teams like Kotoko, Hearts of Oak, you don't wait for those teams like fast food. You cook and eat, then you go. We don't have that time to build, give 3 years, 4 years for you to know. It's not like that. And then Zito even knew the nature of the job he was taking. He came in as an interim because someone there
came in as a technical director,
but as an interim coach.
But as a technical director,
yes.
And he was made to take charge of first.
So he came in after someone also relieved of the job, because it was, if you remember, it was around this same period, and Kotoko were some point away from the top, and that man was sacked. So I believe if Zito knew what happened before, then he should really be afraid of what's happening now. I think they really need to do better, especially in the away games. A team like Kotoko, what makes you different is going to venues that usual teams go and suffer. But you make, or you give in a commanding performance and then get the win. But Kotoko is becoming a usual team. Kotoko is becoming not respecting it, like Vision FC. You go to Out of Lions, you go to Pando, you play shambolic and you lose. Kotoko is supposed to be a team where you go to Pando, you play good football, and then at the end of the day, people in Pando will be talking about, hey, when Kotoko came, they played though. They showed that they're a big team.
Well, we are not seeing that from them, and maybe Karim Zito would have to fix that with the MTN FA Cup. So Kotoko lost. Then I was at the University of Ghana State. Heart of Folk fans came in best because they thought, and they. This is the day that will bypass Asante Kotoko. This is the day that will also win. And because of the previous two games that they've played at the venue, which all ended in a win for them, Heart of Folk, their fans came with a lot of hope. But then they said, hold my beer. They drew against Bichim United to the disappointment and frustration of Didi Dramani. He says, if you want to challenge for the title, you have to play with urgency. On the day, if Heart of Folk, that game, no, say a bono from Friday, it was played on Sunday. Up to now, if they are still playing the game, doesn't look like they were going to score.
It's the hope that kills, right?
Charlie, you have a brilliant goalkeeper, or you have brilliant goalkeepers. You have a solid defense with Ali Mohammed, Asibe Dems. You have a good midfield with Karim, but you attack.
Yeah, I mean, I talked about the fact that Accra is very inefficient when it's going forward. I mean, I wasn't flattered by the results last week against 11 Wonders because I knew every time I watched Accra Suffolk, when they were facing a low block side, they struggled to carve them open. So for me, I knew it was going to be very difficult for Bichim United. They had their game plan in mind. They were coming to frustrate
so
Accra.
Why would you play? Why you not go play a midfielder that can carry the ball and give those penetrating passes like Hussein? If you're coming up against a low block team, because me, I knew Bichim would come and sit and defend.
Yeah. So I think in that regards, the coach must carry some kind of responsibility because in his post-match conference, he did indeed admit that he foresaw what's the name? Bichim United setting up like the way they did. So you already had that in mind. So you needed to find a solution to that. And that solution, like you said, was in players that could carry the ball forward. That could probably... I didn't see Accra Suffolk crossing the ball enough. I didn't see Accra Suffolk trying to carve them open enough. It was just passing and it was... The game suited the game plan of United. Mm-hmm. So for me, considering how Accra Suffolk have struggled scoring goals and all of that, and considering what I foresaw Bichim United would come and do in that game, I wasn't really surprised by that result. I was only praying that in our quest to go and find a goal, we wouldn't leave our back open so that we score a goal. So, I mean, I think the 0-0 is a fair result considering how...
Did he say it not be fair? Did he say the results?
But they defended very well, like you said. If the game had carried on from that day till today,
now,
Accra Suffolk didn't look like a side.
But the problem of not being able to score against it looks like it will never go away this season.
Didi himself didn't set up his team to win. He didn't set up.
Oh, why?
Yes.
Some boy Henry themselves play some.
No, Didi didn't set up the team because just as you said, I don't understand why you start with them for try.
Abdul Karim.
Who is going to play the attacking?
It was being done by Raphael, but he wasn't.
And yes, you know Raphael is not. It's not that kind of guy. I said this thing some weeks ago that Heart of Folk still cannot boast of a potent winger, and that's been one of their problems this season. Because if you're a striker like Hamza is not scoring, the only thing that can build you out of these things is when you have a goal scoring or a potent winger, and they don't have such quality in their team. The Heart of Folk team, if you ask Didi Draman, and if you be honest, this job would go down as the toughest job he has taken ever in his career. This Heart of Folk job. Because I watched him at the touchline, then you could see the man.
Now he make frustrated.
He make frustrated. Sometimes you could just walk and be like,
hey.
Like, he make frustrated.
Where am I?
Where am I? And especially when you can't make any additions to both sides. The team you have.
Sad, but that is the reality of the Ghana Premier League. But other results also saw Vision drew 2 with the Dreams. And then we had Adriana drawing goalless with Samatex. Gold Stars beating Swedro All Blacks. Holy Stars beating Brecum Chelsea. Karela also got a 1-0 victory over Hoho United, and Young Apostles also defeated 11 Wonders. This week, no preview. Next week, we'll focus solely on the upcoming games. There are 2 huge games next week. Mediema, they will be playing Adriana. Then Asante Kotoko would also take on Heart of Folk. Thanks to Bashiru and Augustine. My name is Mutala Iyakubu.